Well, it could have been worse. The Dow did drop today, albeit a small drop, ahead of another round of debt ceiling talks scheduled for just a few moments from now. As we mentioned, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen just sent out a new letter to Congress, tripling down on June 1st as the earliest possible default date. That is just 10 days away. Hold on. Are we already looking June right around the corner? Let's get the read from our money panel, Scott Martin of Kingsview Wealth Management and Francis Newton-Stacy from Optimal Capital. Great to see both of you. I don't know where the time goes, Scott. I'll start with you first. So what are markets telling us about what's about to happen here?
Well, time is moving fast, Sandra, for both of us. June is my birthday month, too, so if the government ruins that, again, I do that on my own typically, I'll be upset. What's interesting, though, is the markets are pretty laissez-faire about this, and I think it's, Sandra, because this is your typical political theater. It's your typical scare tactics by the government to, I guess, scare everybody into thinking there's going to be this big disaster, when in reality, the cows are going to come home to roost, and we're going to come out with this big deal in the 11th hour, and they're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. American, this is the government working for you. We figured it out, but we kicked the can down the road to the next time when we tell you we're going to get your fiscal house in order, and they don't.
Francis?
That's a good point, Scott. Happy June birthday.
Thanks.
But anyway, no, the problem is that the political jujitsu has wider-reaching consequences, and the thing is it's very important not to let the U.S. default for a couple of reasons. The credit rating agencies could lower the credit rating of the U.S. That doesn't really help us in our negotiations with China and in the larger field of negotiations between the BRICS countries and the NATO countries, as each of those try to appeal to smaller countries. It weakens the U.S. dollar, and I think that they should get it done. But as Scott said, they should get the fiscal house in order. There does need to be reform. There does need to be restructuring. We are way too high when it comes to the debt to GDP and the overall debt to cash. But that can't happen before this debt ceiling occurs.
All right, so we're sort of
they just need to kick the can.
What's at stake for the general market, which seems to be sort of taking a wait-and-see approach. I think that's fair. But, Scott, what's at stake for the average American consumer who's still dealing with this inflation, racking up credit card bills, interest rates are going up, the U.S. housing market's taking a hit. What's at stake for the average hardworking American?
That's all of us, and I think it's more uncertainty, but here's the weird thing. Remember the last time we had an issue like this with a debt downgrade? Rates actually went down, boys and girls. Bond prices went up, as you know, Sandra, from trading in the pits. I mean, that was the weirdest thing that happened when that happened. And then also, we had about, what, an 8-year bull market after that as well? No inflation after that, too, with rates on the floor. So the outcome could be questionably bad. I mean, questionably not bad, and maybe questionably good in the sense that it might not be that big of a deal.
That was a debt rating downgrade. That wasn't a default.
Well, right, but they still faked the default. I mean, the default was still going to come down the line. It was like, oh, the credit rating's downgraded because you guys could default.
10 seconds, birthday boy. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, well, the market also sold off 20% in the wake of that, Scott, even though it recovered into a bull market.
All right.
So anyway, this market hasn't priced in a default, and that will cause a sell-off.
Oh, there you go. All right, a prediction made. Thanks to both of you. And we'll happy birthday you later, Scott. All right, thanks, President Biden and Speaker McCarthy.